All right, let's get into it. We talk a lot about firewalls being these big, strong walls protecting our digital castles. And they are. But what about the guards patrolling inside the walls? Today, that's what we're talking about. The silent guardians of your network, Intrusion Detection and Prevention Systems, or, as you'll hear them called, IDS and IPS.
So you've set up a really powerful firewall, which is, by the way, an awesome first step. But let's be real. In today's world, with all the sophisticated threats flying around, is a wall at the border really enough to keep you safe? I think we need to challenge that idea.
Look, every single secure network has to start with a firewall. It's non-negotiable. It is the essential first line of defense, that gatekeeper who decides who gets in and who has to stay out.
So how does a firewall actually pull this off? Well, you can think of it like a bouncer at a club. It checks the ID of every single network packet that tries to get in. It looks at details like where's it from? Where's it going? What port is it trying to use? If anything looks shady or isn't on the approved list, boom, it's denied entry. It's simple, it's effective, and it's absolutely necessary.
But here's the catch. Attackers are smart, right? They're always looking for new ways to disguise themselves or find some unlocked backdoor you forgot about. So the really crucial question is, what happens when one of those threats does make it inside? Who's watching the hallways after they get past the front gate?
And this is where our first silent guardian comes into play. We need something that's not just watching the gate, but is monitoring everything that's happening inside the network. We need a digital alarm system. And that, my friends, is the Intrusion Detection System, or IDS.
The whole job of an IDS is right there in its name. It's not a wall, it's a watcher. It is constantly scanning all the traffic moving around inside your network, and it's looking for anything suspicious, weird patterns, known malicious code, you name it. And once it spots trouble, its one and only job is to sound the alarm. Yeah, this is the perfect way to put it. An IDS is totally passive. It's not going to tackle the intruder or block the attack itself. Instead, it sends an urgent alert to your security team so that a human can investigate and decide what to do. It gives you that critical visibility you need to spot a problem before it spirals out of control.
So, how do these digital watchdogs actually, spot an intruder? Well, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. There are two main ways they detect threats, and a couple of different ways they can be deployed in your network.
Okay, on one hand, you've got signature-based detection. This is pretty straightforward. The IDS has this giant database of signatures, which are basically digital fingerprints for known malware and attacks. It's just like a security guard checking every person against a big stack of wanted posters. Then, on the flip side, you have anomaly-based detection. Now, this is a bit smarter. It spends time learning what normal activity on your network looks like, and then it flags anything that breaks from that pattern. The huge benefit here is that it can catch brand new attacks that no one's ever seen before. The challenge? Sometimes it can create false alarms by flagging legitimate activity that's just a little unusual. It's not looking for a known bad guy, it's just looking for suspicious behavior.
So we know how they spot trouble, but where do you actually put these things? Well, a network-based IDS, or NIDS, sits at a really strategic point in your network, kind of like a guard in a central security office watching the camera feeds for all the hallways at once. It sees all the traffic going back and forth. But then you have a host-based IDS, or HIDS. This is installed on a single computer, like a critical server or a developer's laptop. This is more like having a dedicated guard stationed inside one specific high-value room, watching for anything strange happening on that one machine.
Detection is great. I mean, knowing an intruder is in your house is absolutely critical. But what if your security system could not only spot the intruder, but also stop them dead in their tracks? Well, that's the evolution from detection to prevention. And that brings us to the Intrusion Prevention System. This right here nails the difference perfectly. An intrusion detection system tells you, hey, something bad is happening. An intrusion prevention system says, something bad is happening and I'm putting a stop to it, right now. It is the difference between an alarm bell and an automated lockdown.
Let's just walk through this for a second. Both an IDS and an IPS do these first two steps. They detect something suspicious and they alert an administrator. But the IPS, it adds that critical third step. It has the power to act automatically. It can block the malicious traffic, it can terminate the connection, and it does it all without waiting for a human to intervene. Think of it as an IDS, but with enforcement powers. So why are we spending all this time on this? Why does it matter? It's because a firewall by itself just isn't enough anymore. Modern cybersecurity isn't about building one single perfect wall. It's about creating layers of defense. When you boil it all down, this is what you're getting.
An IDS or an IPS gives you that critical visibility inside your network for threats that slipped past the firewall. They allow your security team to respond super quickly, or in the case of an IPS, automatically. This is what we call a defense-in-depth strategy. You're building layers to protect your most important assets from all angles, not just from the front door.
And that really brings us to a final thought. Having all the technology, the firewalls, the IDS, the IPS, that's half the battle. But the other half is all about people and process. So the question you should be asking yourself isn't just, does my network have an alarm? It's, when that alarm goes off, is anyone ready to answer the call?